Welcome back to Wealth Mavericks, the podcast where we help doctors unlock the secrets to building generational wealth. And today we're going to talk about work-life balance and the tension between accomplishing your goals and living the life you want to live. Our process, we uncover not just your goals, but also your values, like truly understanding at a deep level what is important to you. When your values are clear, your decisions are easy. And so I think creating that clarity helps with this tension. All right, no one better to join us on this podcast than the one and only Erin Nevakosi, who not only leads this podcast, but is also one of our top coaches at Terra Firma. So she leads so many relationships with our doctors and gets to deal with them in the nitty-gritty of daily life, really. And if you've listened to the podcast at all, you know we talk about the 5-10s lifestyle, which is balancing spiritual, family, business, financial, and fitness. And I say balancing very intentionally because there can create this tension between what you say you want to accomplish and the life that you want to live. And so that's what we wanted to talk about today is how do you navigate life when that tension is building? I need to do these things so I can get to where I want to go, but I want to enjoy the journey as well. So, Erin, as you're working with the doctors that you get to work with, what are you noticing as you're helping them navigate this 5-10s lifestyle?
I'm noticing a real tension between this quest for freedom and work-life balance and not missing out on your kids' lives, but also having goals, having gone into medicine to achieve something and you want to build wealth. And there are two ends of this spectrum. I work with doctors who are incredibly burnt out and working too much and feeling really bad about missing life with their family because they can't find good people in their practice or they can't find people to come to work. And they are telling me how this has not been a problem in previous generations, but now they're seeing it with younger people. And for me, I'm like, I can see how that's both a bad thing and a good thing because you don't want to sacrifice your whole life for work. But then we're talking to these people who say, yeah, I only want to work 80% or 3 days a week or whatever it is. But then the people over here are suffering because of that. So where is that balance where enough is enough, but it's not causing other people to be burnt out? Does that make sense?
Right. Well, and I think so much of medicine and your journey as a doctor is kind of just push through. So while all of your friends graduated college and went on to get their corporate gigs and started making money, you went further into debt and more time in school. It's like pushing for this future date. Then you graduate medical school and you go into residency and you push. So I think that's kind of just the model of their life. And the doctors that we work with, again, are very successful doctors. And so I think they're bent a certain way. Like they have a penchant to pursue those things. And so therefore they tend to set lofty goals. And it is interesting to me that our process, we uncover not just your goals, but also your values, like truly understanding at a deep level what is important to you, probably in a way that these people have never had a conversation, even with their closest friends. I've had people tell me like after that conversation, well, you know me better than I know me. So what do you think I should do? So I think it really is this deep understanding of who you are deep down and what your values are. Roy Disney, Walt Disney's brother, said, when your values are clear, your decisions are easy. And so I think creating that clarity helps with this tension. It's like, hey, I am a hard worker. I want to leave a legacy. I want to do this. Okay, great. You're going to have to do some things to get there. Now, you don't want to ruin yourself and ruin your life along that journey, but that tension does exist. And congratulations, welcome to the club. Like we are all living in that tension. I think my advice and input to those doctors that are feeling that way or overly feeling that way is live in the tension. Don't just succumb to the tension. And that's where I see a lot of people mess this up is they come in and they say, well, this is just what's needed. And so then their relationship with their spouse fails. They don't have a relationship with their kids. They let their health go. They succumb to the tension and just yield it all over to business or the business of doctoring. Right. That's not what you want. So know what your values are, create clarity around your goals and what's required. And then one of my favorite quotes that one of my mentors, Bill Backrack, used to say is actually a question that he would ask: are you willing to do the work your goals require? And that's across all 5 areas, not just business. So you're the only one who can answer that, Doc. Are you willing to do the work that your goals require?
And everyone falls somewhere differently on that spectrum. We have doctors who just want to make a good living and then live a big life outside of their work, whereas others have humongous financial goals and they have the ability to go after them. So they do want to work more. Some that just have to work more because, again, of staffing issues or whatever it is. But I think that's where the 510s comes in and can be so helpful, because it's not always about quantity of time, but it's quality of time. And so the time that you do have outside of work, how are you using it? And how are you filling those buckets of spiritual, family time, fitness, or are you just numbing out on X, for example, your phone or TV? Because I hear that from people. Or, oh, I just don't have time to work out anymore. But it's like, do you? And we see how as your score goes up in each, it affects every other score.
Yeah.
You're either in a downward spiral or an upward spiral. So it's like you make one good choice, you're going to make another good choice. So it's not, like you said, live in the tension. And yeah, this is the reality of life, but you can always be more intentional with how you use that and balance that time.
Yeah, there's a concept where there's a book called The Kaizen Way, and it's a Japanese philosophy of like one small step at a time. And I think that's the other thing is people think, oh, in order to make improvements, I have to take these giant strides towards this. And that can be true. I'm not saying that you can't do that. You can. But little steps in the right direction make a huge impact. You know what I mean? Like 1 degree correction, on target makes a big difference down the road. So if that's with your spouse, if the first thing that you do when you come home from the, from the office is complain about something, maybe you just change one little thing and compliment your wife or your husband when you get home instead of, complaining about something. I don't know what it might be for you, Doc, as you're listening, but contemplate in these areas: spiritual, family, business, financial, fitness. What's one little thing that you can do that would take you from, and what would you say, Erin, like the most common scores are? Because this is what we do. We create a baseline for everybody when they come into our world. We create a baseline of their 510s. What would you say most people are in each of those: spiritual, family, business, financial, fitness? And I know this is broad brushstrokes, but
it is. I mean, I would say most of my members tend to be thriving in life. And if you have like I'm an 8 and a 9 and a 7 and an 8 and it's consistent, where there is a few others where all the scores are a bit lower. Or there's just, most of them are good, but there's just one, oftentimes fitness or spiritual, that is just completely lacking. And so when you say it's this little course correction, it's one thing you can do. That's what's so powerful about this framework is like, if you're I had one guy yesterday, he was like, I'm at a 0. He has a little baby at home. It's like, yeah, you're in the season where it's hard to work out. You're not sleeping, whatever. But to get to a 1, we don't want you to go to an 8. We don't want you to set goals like that. That's completely unrealistic. Like, I'm going to be doing nothing. Now I'm going to go to the gym 5 days a week. But he said, the weather's nice. We can get out after work, put the baby in the stroller, go for a walk, get more movement in as a family. It's like, that's a great place to start. Yeah. So start where you are and just improve a little bit. And then it's this snowball effect that keeps going.
And it's funny because what I have found in coaching this for a little over 20 years now is today's 10 is not the same as tomorrow's 10. And so it's this constant improvement that we're going to make. And I believe in people being at a 10. That's why we call it the 510s lifestyle. We have people who we call them never teners. It's like they're never going to rate themselves a 10 because they always want to have room for improvement. That is true, but allow yourself that opportunity to be a 10 out of 10 and move to the next level. Tomorrow's 10 will look different than today. And so that's part of the job of the coaches here at Terra Firma, is to help people, to ask them the questions so they can uncover what their next step is. It's not even so much like advice giving or coaching in that manner. It's helping people uncover their path. My answers are good for me. your answers are good for you. My job is to help ask the questions that unveil your answers for you.
And sometimes it's not even about, I mean, obviously, we always want to be improving, but sometimes you're at a place where you're like, this is not as high of a priority for me right now. But so then it becomes, well, what are you doing well that you want to at least keep doing so that you don't backslide? Because we never
Yeah.
want to be backsliding in any area. And I wanted to bring up, there's another thing I see with some of my members that I think our conversations as a team with them have been so helpful, because so much of what we do is about getting clarity on where you're going and what your goals are. And we have some members who have been so ridiculously successful. And like we said, there's a shortage of doctors in a lot of areas. And so there's just always more work for them if they want to do
Mm,
overtime. And it's hard to say no to that when you're getting paid so much for these extra hours. And so for some, they've achieved everything they ever want and more, but they just keep working. And when you ask them to what end, like why? I don't really know. What's it all for? And so
mm,
to give them the space to ask that question of themselves, and it can be a little uncomfortable. I don't know if you've heard of the book Die with Zero, but I actually
mm.
sent that to one of my members recently because he has so much money and he has grown kids, and he's working on his own mindset of being able to spend the money that he has worked so hard for. And it's like, you can't take it with you. So what are you doing? So
Right.
I really like that part of what we do, just helping people get clarity on what they're working toward.
Well, and give the non-traditional advice. We have doctors who are like, oh, like I'd really like to do this, but I would take such a big pay hit if I make this move. And I'm like, make the move. How long do you think you're going to live?
Right.
Like, honestly, how old do you think you're, because we're not even promised tomorrow.
Exactly.
And so, sacrificing our life just exclusively for money without purpose, that doesn't make any sense to me. And
No.
so, again, we get to live in this really cool space where we know you deeply and can give advice based on that. And I try, no, I was going to lie. I was going to say, I try not to knock the financial services industry too much, but that's totally untrue. I knock it all the time and I love doing it because it's a broken system. It's a broken system that lives in silos and does not serve our members well. And so I think that's why people, when they find this, they're like, this is like too good to be true. Like I knew you exist. What I mean? Like all those comments that we get, it's because we're a giant middle finger to the industry because we put you first. So like terrible, quote unquote, terrible financial advice was take a $500,000 cut to go live in the area that you want to live. That's bad financial advice from the financial services perspective. Why? Because they want you to continue to pour that money into their coffers so they make more money as you grow. Our job is to help you accomplish your goals for the reasons that are important to you. So first, we know what your goals are because we help you uncover those. We then put the plan in place to get there. And so any doc who's listening, if you find yourself in that mindset of always putting off to tomorrow the things that you truly want to do today, you've got to ask yourself some hard questions. And if you're a member of ours, you need to have this conversation with your coach and have these difficult to navigate questions, which goes something like, what would it cost me to do that? You know what I mean? And honestly, for most of our members, or by the level of success that they get when they work with us, most of the time the financial impact, not that it's negligible, but it truly will not alter their lifestyle at all. And so I just think this is where we get to show up as true advisors, not as a financial advisor, but as a true advisor, as a coach, as someone who's helping you think through these things. So this goes to, I mean, we've had doctors who were like overworked, just like literally within weeks of getting to know us. They're like, you know what, this is broken. I don't like it. I'm not doing it anymore. They make these decisions. And you know what's crazy? It's like God conspires to then bless them and they still make as much money in half the time. It's crazy how that works. And so I think my encouragement to anybody who's living in that tension is do not succumb to the tension. Step into the tension and make the difficult decisions, have the tough conversations. And I think what you'll find is on the other side is you can enjoy the journey while you're getting to where your goals are, but you've got to make those intentional decisions to get there. Doc, we believe in you. We're here to support you. We're here to have those tough conversations with you. But I just want you to know you can do this. You can have an awesome life. You can live the 5-10s lifestyle, 10 out of 10, spiritual, family, business, financial, fitness.
I love it, Joe. You add such value to my life, to our members' lives, and hopefully to our listeners' lives too. So
hopefully.
Yeah. Doc, we hope you enjoyed the conversation. If you don't work with us yet, but you are overpaying in taxes and you just want more peace and clarity in your life, we would love to help you. So our good producer, Kenny, will leave some links below to get in touch with us, schedule your cash flow recovery, just have a conversation with us. And if you like this, we invite you to subscribe and share. And we just really appreciate you being here. So thank you. And until next time, go be a wealth maverick.